Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Seattle Union Station build in our route building series. And I have some interesting information to share with you, and we are going to devote this episode to making some fixes to what we've already done, and I want to get to a certain level of completion this episode. So we'll see how this goes. I promise you I won't let this go more than an hour, but let's go ahead and jump in. What I'd like to show you is a photograph. That's where we're going to start. This was obtained from King County in their archives. This is an aerial photograph of the Seattle Union Station in 1936. And it gives us a great view. So over on the left here, left is facing north in the way I've oriented this graphic. This area here, let me see if we can get my thing. This area right here, where you see 415 and 401, that's Union Station. And here are the platforms behind it. Across the street, we have King Street. And I did capture enough maps to build down this way, but since we're focusing on Union Station at this point in time, we'll get to what's going on with King Street and the needs for King Street. But here is what's going on with Union Station. And you'll notice that we have the streets in front and we have the street going down the side. And this is on a bridge. And there's a bridge right here. And what you'll notice if you look at the shadows, the bridge is crossing the throat of the yard, and it's going off in a diagonal manner. What you'll notice, look at this shadow here, how it's coming down like a triangle. That is showing us that the bridge is at street level up here, and it comes down like a ramp down to ground level, which is where these buildings are located. And then we have the street going off this way. What that means for us is that this Y that we built in the last episode needs to go away. Now, we're not going to get rid of it, because if we come down here, you will see that there is a Y, and this is the Y that Copilot was talking about. You have to be careful with AI, because sometimes it hallucinates, and what it describes, I swear you could ask it the same question 3 different days and you'll get 3 different answers. So when you use AI, the lesson there is check what it tells you. Don't just assume that it's correct. It wasn't until I was able to obtain these images to see how the approach worked at Union Station and how they turned the trains around. So they basically came down here, and you can see the very faint outline of track, and it comes down here almost immediately into the Y. And so if I was leaving Union Station, I would come down as a train. I would basically back out because I had pulled into the station. I would back around and come down this part of the Y. And once my locomotive is facing southbound, I would then drive down the tracks here. Okay. Now, what's interesting about these tracks actually exist today. And this whole area is now warehouses and businesses and stuff. This roundhouse here no longer exists. And if you notice the positioning of King Street, and you'll see that the tracks are moving off in this direction. I can tell you today that these tracks come around and they basically join up with the tracks around here. So it looks like the tracks are coming down here, and what I'm saying that they do today is they come up like that. They come up like that, and hopefully a little bit more straighter than that. But that's basically how the trains leave King Street. And nowadays, of course, there's a big stadium. There's two stadiums here. There's CenturyLink, and then there is T-Mobile Park, which is where the Mariners play. But that wasn't the case in 1936. So there's a relationship between King Street and this trackage here. And this trackage goes on down, and I don't have the I've captured the photographs, but I don't have them on this image. This track work leads down to the Argo yard, which the Union Pacific and the Milwaukee Road used for their freight operations. And that yard still exists today, and it is solely a Union Pacific yard at this point. And when I come into the station on the Milwaukee Road, again, I don't have the images going that far yet, but when you hit the you get my orientation right, the east side of the yard, there is a point where you can turn north, and that track work was Milwaukee Road, and it followed South Airport Way in Seattle. It almost paralleled it all the way up into Seattle. And that's what is going on with this track. So when I enter Union Station, I would enter down at the east side of Argo Yard and come up this track here. And we would just keep coming up and end up at Union Station. And then I would either come in to this platform or the platform on the track on the other side. Those were the Milwaukee Road platforms. So, and then when like on the Olympian, his next stop after Seattle was Tacoma. So they would literally back out of the station and come down here to this turnoff, and they would go down and pick up the Y here to get turned around. And then they would head down to Argo Yard, picking up the yard on the west end of the yard. And they would basically enter the Milwaukee main line down there and head on out. And there's a point on the main line where they're paralleling the Northern Pacific and the Union Pacific. And then they veer off towards the Milwaukee Road, veers off to Renton. And that's where they head off to the Black River Junction, which is actually a Y that allowed them to turn south to go to Tacoma. And Tacoma was officially the end of the line for the Milwaukee Road. And of course, down in Tacoma, when we model that, there's a yard down there that they had. There was a Y that was actually literally where they officially turned trains. And there are two depots in Tacoma that Milwaukee used. There's the old one, which is the one that we're going to model. And when I get this into a dem route, I may put in the newer terminal that was out by their yards out there in Tacoma. So with all that said, what we're going to do today, we're going to start out by getting this Y moved out of the way. We don't, until I get the track work in, we don't have the exact placement for the Y. So we're just going to set up a tile and we're going to park the thing over there so that we can come back to use it at a later point in time. So that work is preserved. And then we're going to rebuild from the throat of our passenger platform. So basically down here, we're going to have it turn slightly. So if this is north, if we're looking at the platform, which is what we're doing here, we're looking north, we're going to turn and come over here a little bit. And to help us with how much we need to come over, the first thing we're going to do is lay out a road or a line so that we know where this road is, because that positions the buildings. So we can put in some buildings to provide us with some help. And we will then build this area. And this is their coach yard. So this is coming into their coach yard that they shared with the Union Pacific. And I think this area, or possibly around here, was where they did the express and the dining car servicing. We've built all that up in this area here. And I'm going to leave that alone. I don't really want to spend any more time on that. So we're going to leave that be. And what we're going to do is concentrate on this area and building our yard. And we'll actually get Copilot to help us with the measurements of the yard. Trying to get this. So we'll get our lengths, because that's going to help us determine how long this area is, so that we know where to position this turn off, so we can head to the Y. Once we get that built, we can then line up our Y with that track, and that puts our positioning for this track at that point, and we can start building back towards King Street. Once we get this whole northern area track work done, then we'll start pulling in the data for the Argo yard and how Milwaukee got out of the Seattle area and headed to Tacoma. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to, let's go ahead and put enough tiles in play that we can get this. Okay, so let's see. I want okay, so now what we don't need is the elevation. We don't need the textures. We just want the track. And technically, we don't have any structures. So all we need is the track. Now I'm going to turn this, and let's find out if, okay, that's not the direction. Or no, that is the direction that we want. Okay. Okay, so we're going to leave our Y right here. Oh, wait, that's not the way we want it. That's the way we want it, because then you've got your Y right there. Okay, And now we can come back over here because we don't need any of this now. We've preserved our work. We don't even need the rulers. Now they were saying, let's leave the rulers for a second. Okay, so we got rid of all that. And now let's come over here. And what we want is a road. Not going to worry about putting it up yet on Now keep in mind, this road was on a bridge. We're not going to worry about that right now. We just need the lines so that we can properly place our buildings. Okay, so there's that. Let's see. How many feet from the passenger platform, from the passenger platform throat, did the track run before it turned slightly to the left? Let's see what it says. It's saying, let's see, your hand approximately. Okay, so 300 feet. So let's get a ruler, and I'm gonna start knocking out this stuff. So they're saying the end of the throat, which is basically right here. And it's saying 300 to 350 feet. Okay. All right, so now let's get our track. And let's get this to here. Now, what is the name of the street that runs parallel to Union Station and King Street? Station. See if it picks it up. Okay, that's 4th Avenue. Okay, from 4th Avenue, how many feet was it to the track once it turned south after bending from the platform throat? Short answer, main after it finished, that first left bend is around 200 to 260, approximately 240. Okay, so let's get a ruler. And what we want is that measured from the center of the street. Yes. 240. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do, because we're going to start the bend here. All right. So let's go here. 240 feet. And 40 feet. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's figure out how we're going to do this. It's that. right, now let's see if we can make that look a little more graceful. Is that? Okay. Okay, so we got that. A single or double. Okay, so there he's saying this was all double track. Okay, so now where did the passenger yard begin as we travel south? Okay, so that may be what we're seeing here. How long should I make the track? Okay, so if we do like 900 feet. Okay, so now let's get rid of some of this some of this stuff. Yeah, 900 feet. Okay, so 900 feet. I think that's close enough for government work. Yeah, let's take that out for now. Let's see. How many tracks in the passenger yard? Plus assignments. Was track 1 closest to the approach track? Yes. Okay. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. Using our image, I don't see really any platforms or anything, so let's go ahead. Yep. Okay, so we've got our rendition of that. And then it comes down here. So how many feet from the south throat of the passenger yard is it to the turn off towards the Y? The south throat of the passenger yard to the turn off Argo Y, you're looking at roughly 2,600 feet. 2,600 feet. So we need another ruler. Okay, so we'll just start it right there. 2,600. $2,600. I'm not gonna worry about that. Okay. What is the radius of the curve? The diverging curve into the Argo Y, diverging curve towards the Argo Y. Prototype radius about 900 feet. From the starting point of the switch, how many feet until the track is perpendicular and headed to the Argo Y? Okay. $700 feet. That's not what I want. There we go. And now he said that the curve is 900 feet. So that would put this. No, that's not right. There we go. Yeah. Let's take this. Let's take this. That's it. Let's, see what that did. Let's go ahead and get. Don't need any of this. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We've got our, and this is where we're going to end the layout. Not the layout, but the root building. We've got our station, and we've put in our passenger yard. We've put where the train diverged to get to the Y. Next time, we'll put in the engine facility, and we'll reposition King Street so that we can start getting the track here to connect up with this track over here. And then we'll go from there. There we go. Let's see if we can get the whole thing. I don't think I can. Yeah, well, I guess we'll leave it like this. Okay, that's where we'll leave it. If you like this type of content, I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription is free, and it does help to make sure that this type of content remains on YouTube. If you'd like to help us grow the audience, like the episode, please leave your comments and suggestions. I'm not going to put any music on this episode. I had a viewer say that the music is distracting. So I'm asking all of you, please post in the content whether we should have background music while I'm doing this, or if we should just leave it alone and it'll just be talking and silence. So let me know what you want in the comments. If you'd like to be notified when the next episode becomes available, hit the bell and make your selection from the menu that appears. And with that, we'll see you on the next one.